Warning, the following program has been rated T for truth.
You can't handle the truth!
Oh, we think you can. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report with your host, truth warrior and mythbuster Kathleen Wells. The place where we distinguish fact from fiction, where data is used to drive points home, and where Kathleen takes the position that Democrats and black politicians have destroyed black America. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report. Now, your host, Kathleen Wells.
Hi, folks. It's Kathleen Wells, host of the Naked Truth Report. I'm glad you joined me. There's a lot to talk about, as usual. There's always a lot to talk about politically, because this has been an interesting... Actually, I'm going into my third year doing the show. And let's see, what do I want to say? It's been interesting the entire 3 years. Why? Because Trump is president. He keeps it interesting. It's been interesting. It's still interesting. We love it. Why? Well, maybe we feel passionately about it. We're engaged. That's for sure. Things have been revealed that we didn't know. We've seen things that we didn't know were going on. For instance, Kleinsmith, the FBI lawyer who pled guilty to altering a document. Now, I heard today that actually Carter Page was working with the CIA. He was a counterintelligence something or other, some fancy word, but he was working with the CIA and he was outed by the FBI. This is very good. We cannot wait for the Durham report to come out. We're sitting on the edge of our seats. We've been talking about the Durham report for at least, a year? Because we're all waiting on pins and needles. We need something like this. Why? Because the Democratic Party, they're able to maneuver what's the word I want to use? I don't want to say expertly, but they're able to maneuver well within the political system. Amazingly. And I think that's because they have the help of what? The media. They maneuver quite successful. Because the notion that Kamala Harris would run for the presidential nomination, not get it, secure 2%, drop out before they go to North Carolina, or was it South Carolina? Drop out and then come. So in other words, Democrat voters weren't willing to vote for Kamala Harris in the primary. And yet now that she's on the vice presidential ticket, the GOP, Republicans and Trump, are racist and sexist if they say anything bad about her. Yet Democrat voters weren't willing to vote for her. So why aren't Democrat voters considered racist and sexist? Do you see? This is the Democratic Party, how they maneuver. They slither in and slither out like a snake. They're quite diabolical. I'll get to that later about the idea that Kamala Harris is a black woman. I mean, she's caramel. I mean, we have to rethink these terms. People of color, diversity, black. What does that mean? We have to rethink these things. We've got to go deeper. Democrat voters they're shallow. They think they're like 5 inches. They can see 5 inches into the future and 5 inches deep. That's as far as they go. They're not able to foresee anything. But I'm going to talk about Kamala Harris later first. But now I want to talk about the fact, or at least mention that, on Washington Journal this morning, they talked about, this is the 100th year of the women getting the right to vote. The 19th Amendment enabled women to vote. My feeling is, and it was Woodrow Wilson's wife who said that, she doesn't think women should have the right to vote. Their husbands can represent their vote. That's the way she felt. It's a curious thing, because if black women if black women are still voting Democrat, despite all the evidence, despite the fact that the median income for a black American in Los Angeles, I think it's something like $200. The median value of assets for Black Americans. You can use me as an example. I can trace my family back to the 1700s at least, right? That's how far my cousin Bobby went back, to the 1700s. So I am a Black American who is a direct descendant of American slaves. Yes. So I think it's what is it? Let me bring that up real quick. I wasn't going to get on it initially as the first thing, but I want to bring up, I think it's the median value for U.S. blacks, median value of liquid assets for U.S. blacks is $200 in Los Angeles. Yeah, I believe it. You see all those homeless Black folks. I saw those homeless tents on Venice and La Cienega. There are like tons of homeless tents on Venice and La Cienega. There are also homeless tents over there by Dorsey. I graduated from Dorsey High School. There are homeless tents over there by Dorsey. And this is the other thing, they also sell tacos on the streets. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and at Obama and La Brea Boulevard, they're selling tacos on the streets. Oh, but we're so concerned about coronavirus, right? So the median value of liquid assets for U.S. blacks in Los Angeles is $200. What's the median value of liquid assets for Asian Indians? $245,000. $245,000. What did Kamala inherit from her doctor mother and her, maybe nothing from her Jamaican father, who was a Stanford professor in economics? Maybe she didn't. Oh, he's not dead. Yeah. She didn't inherit anything from her dad, but her mom's dead and maybe passed. She's no longer with, and she was a doctor. I think a biologist. Maybe Kamala inherited something from her Indian mother. So talking about Black women voting, if Black women are persuaded, you saw the headline in the Washington Post and the New York Times, the historic first Black woman nominated from a Democratic Party, from a major party, the Democratic Party, the first Black woman nominated to be vice president. Yes. I don't know, do Indians like to be considered Black? Yeah, there's a caste system in India. I don't think Indians like to be considered Black. Do you? It's curious that Kamala Harris joined she went to Howard University, which is a historically Black college, and she also joined AKA, which is a Black fraternity. Yeah, sorority, not a fraternity. Fraternity is the guys. That's curious. So it's like she self-identified as a Black woman when she went to college. I like to call her Kamala Shapeshifter. It's like whatever, she's a careerist, whatever is expedient, efficient for her, she'll do. She'll say whatever's necessary to get the job done, to get the position, to move on up, right? So let's see. The median value of liquid assets for whites in Los Angeles is $110,000. So Asian Indians is $245,000 and whites is $110,000. So, let's see. Asian Indians, they're brown, or they're people of color? I don't know what they are now. Everything's confused. I guess they say that Kamala is Black from her dad. But, we're not sure if that's accurate either. We don't know exactly. She needs to take a DNA test, don't you think? But anyway, what I also, before I got into that, I want to mention that, and I'll probably come back to it. I wanted to mention that the Democratic Party will have their national convention online starting tomorrow. Yes, that's going to be interesting. It's going to be the usual suspects. Bill and Hillary Clinton will be speaking. And who else? The Obamas. See, Obama started this mess. We shouldn't have voted for Obama in the first place. Why? Because he was a Kenyan. His father was from Kenya. So he's not he's not an American. He's not a black American who is the direct descendant of American slaves like me. That legacy, that heritage, that lineage matters because it's a 460-year lineage, history. We first had black Americans who are the direct descendants of American slaves first had blacks in politics right after the Civil War, during Reconstruction. They were Republicans. That was the first time. So, in other words, Kamala Harris is a first-generation American. Her mother came to the United States in 1958, before the Immigration Act of 1965, before. And they say her parents were civil rights activists. I haven't seen any pictures. Have you? We don't know if that's true. But the thing of it is, she came to America in 1958 from India, Kamala's mother, and one generation, her daughter has received the VP nomination for the Democratic Party. Now, my black Americans who are the direct descendants, the first time we got involved in politics was right after Reconstruction. That's the mid to late 1800s. We haven't had a black president, a black American president, an ADOS, that's what they say, are a direct descendant of American slave, DOAS, or ADOS, would say American descendants. We haven't had a black American. We haven't had a president. We've been here 460 years. And yet, Kamala Harris and Obama too, they slide into that whole civil rights thing as if it's their experience. They talk about it. The way she talked about the segregation and the way they talk about, oh, blacks have been so oppressed and racist. Now, Kamala Harris's mother is a doctor, was a doctor. Her father is an economist. Oh, but there was so much oppression and, we went through Jim Crow and segregation. Her ancestors didn't. She's first generation American, as Obama was one half first generation American. What did they experience? So they're going to change the narrative to now, America was built by immigrants. Not black Americans and white Americans who have been here for hundreds, since the founding of the country. No, America was built by immigrants that came in the 60s and the 70s. That's how they're going to shape, when I say they, the Democratic Party, with the help of the media. They're going to shape the entire narrative or story of America. It's going to change, particularly if Kamala if Biden wins. It's going to change that. America was built by immigrants. Not that America was built by black and white American citizens, but by immigrants. They built America. You can foresee that. You can see that, particularly, and you see Biden and both Kamala, they believe in giving free everything to illegal aliens. They're going to reshape the entire American story. Black America will disappear. We won't even be in the story. I think white Americans will be here hanging on. But if Biden and Kamala get into the White House, they're going to change, because this has been a gradual shifting towards globalism. This is something that Steve Bannon talked about. The Democratic Party represents the political and financial elite. And the agenda that they're pushing is Marxism/globalism. And the way that you push globalism is that you say, well, America was built by the blood, sweat, and tears of her immigrants. The people that immigrated to America created America. They changed the story. They just as Kamala has shapeshifted into being a black American whose parents fought in the civil rights movement. They tell us. We don't know that to be true. They were the first generation to do that if they did. We don't know that they fought in the civil rights movement. But, my ancestors and black Americans who are the direct descendants of American slaves, they've been here hundreds of years fighting and struggling and building and participating in every war. You see, there's a different story, but that story isn't getting told. And yet Obama and Kamala both slip into the black American experience and wrap themselves in it as if it's their experience. That's what Kamala did when she was in the debate with Biden, when she was blaming him for opposing. I was that little girl on the bus. We don't know if she was even on the bus. She never talks about her experience in Canada. We never hear that. She never talks about her dad. And in fact, at her wedding, she exchanged gifts from her traditional Indian side with her husband. She didn't exchange any black American or African gift. I guess her dad would be or Jamaican. Who knows? It's a mess. And everything that the Democratic Party represents is a mess. Just as we're seeing this whole coronavirus thing. This virus is being used by the Democratic Party against President Trump. It's a weapon against Trump. They're going to try. They manipulate everything. Nothing they say is accurate. Just as Kamala, I heard her have an interview and she mentioned something to the effect that when she said that Biden, I believe the woman who said that Biden sexually assaulted her. I believe that woman. She was asked about it. She said, well, that was said during the debate. As if she can say anything to win. She can say anything to secure a win for herself, a win for herself. It's because it's all about her. Clearly, she knew when she went to Howard University that she was going to wrap herself in being a black woman, even though she isn't. At most, she's 25%. She has 25% African DNA in her system. Genetically or however at most. And so the question becomes, she doesn't have the black American experience. Because that's an experience of of generations. It's what the generations have gone through. My parents lived through Jim Crow. My grandmother lived through Jim Crow. My grandfather was born in 1895. You see, my ancestors lived the American experience. Kamala's parents, neither did one side of Obama. They didn't live the black American experience. And yet they speak about it with such intimacy as if they know it closely. How can Kamala, she knows nothing. They quote like Martin Luther King, as if that speaks to their experience. Kamala Harris came from a very wealthy family in India. Her uncle was a diplomat or something like that, negotiated something between Bangladesh and India or Pakistan. So they've always been involved in politics. You can imagine the stories that were told and why she decided to attend a black college and enter a black sorority. It's very interesting. So another thing I want to mention is that about coronavirus. We're talking about coronavirus, that New Zealand went 102 days without any cases of coronavirus. Then they get 4 cases of coronavirus and they decide to lock down the whole country. They're on house arrest because of 4 cases. They went 102. This is amazing how we've gotten to this point. This is a manipulation by the globalists. And you see what has been taken off the table, with the help of the media, the treatments for coronavirus, hydrochloroquine and zinc, and then the Z-Pack or something. And Dennis Prager talks about that a lot. And their doctors, in fact, Trump has now gotten a doctor that is opposed to lockdown, that doesn't believe in mask wearing. But we know that Biden and Kamala Harris says that for 3 months, it should be a nationwide mandatory mask wearing for 3 months. Can you imagine? And the kids won't be going to school. So these folks have been destroying America. The Democratic Party has destroyed America. We know they destroyed Black America. Why? Because we have no fathers in our home. We are down to 25% two-parent families. And now they're destroying all of America. Can you see it? Can you feel it? I think it's obvious. So it's seeping into all of America being destroyed. The Democratic Party is a destructive force. They haven't changed their stripes from when they started the KKK. They have always been destructive of America. They have always been, and this is like a hashtag on 20, the Democratic Party has always been the enemy of America. Always. There's nothing changed, despite what they say. Despite their protestations, they say that they're for the little guy, but nothing can be further from the truth. They're for the corporate, financial, and political elite. Kamala Harris is part of the elite. They're not interested in the little guy. Why? We know that the middle class is shrinking right here in Los Angeles, right here in California. We're being squeezed. Los Angeles will become the homeless, a place for homeless, illegal aliens, and Hollywood folks. That's what it's going to become. That's what it is already. So this is going to be a very important election, 2020. I hope that I know that my listeners it's like talking to the choir, right? Preaching to the choir. I hope more and more people begin to listen to this show and begin to listen to Fox News and other things that give you an alternative, that give you more information. Every time I listen to Washington Journal and the Democrat callers call in, they don't have sufficient information. The information that they get is from CNN and MSNBC, and that's it. Or they read the headlines from the New York Times and the Washington Post, and they don't go any deeper. They're so convinced that they have the truth on their side, and they know the 411 on everything. They've got everything straight in their head. But they never seek out alternative information. Most don't even know what's going on with this Durham report. They have no idea what is being said about this. They just think it's some dirty trick. The fact that Kleinsmith has had to plead guilty, it's like a dirty trick of Trump. Everything, this is what you hear from Washington Journal callers, everything is Trump's fault. And William Barr's. Oh, it's some dirty trick that's being pulled why this guy Kleinsmith has pled guilty to altering documents. Well, we're told that more is coming down the pipe. We are to expect indictments. The question is, will they be before the election? Let's hope it's before the election, because that will be a game changer for sure. This is the Naked Truth Report. I'm your host, Kathleen Wells. And when we come back, why don't you give me a call and we'll talk about Kamala Harris. Yeah. Welcome back to the Naked Truth Report. I'm your host, Kathleen Wells. I wanted to read this quote. I think it's relevant. This is the quote. As much as we'd like to sit securely with our conclusions, feeling like we're in control if we don't have the results we want, it's wise to question every assumption. As much as we like to sit securely with our conclusions, feeling like we're in control, if we don't have the results we like, it's wise to question every assumption. Yes. If we don't get the results that we want from our actions, despite the fact that we feel confident with our decisions, if we're not getting the results, it's wise to question our assumptions underlying our decisions. What are we assuming? And if Black Americans are now Black Americans who are the direct descendants of American slaves, ADOS, American descendants of American slaves, ADOS, American descendants of slaves, if they are now worth in Los Angeles only $200 as a median income, if they're facing zero median wealth by 2053, don't you think you should question some of your assumptions that you have about how things work? You're not winning, you're losing. You're going to disappear. You're going to end up homeless. And with this coronavirus, who knows what the heck is happening? If Biden and Kamala get in office, you're going to drown because they're going to they're going to have open borders. Illegal aliens are going to get free health care. You see. And Kamala made that clear that was her position. And then they're going to impose the Green New Deal. Who knows with this coronavirus if Biden and Kamala get in office? Who knows what they'll do? They can use the coronavirus to impose anything on us as the American people. Anything. Government mandated on the American people. We've been told that it's going to continue, that it will be with us forever, the coronavirus. It's never going away. And vaccinations is the only thing that will be a safeguard against it. This will be the new, who knows what the new normal will be with Biden and Harris in the White House and the coronavirus. Who knows? The borders will be open. We know that's for sure. Didn't you hear about the case and the guy in New Mexico that got the plague? This is America, folks. We have been here for generations. And we want a first-generation American to be in the White House? They don't know the history, this rich history of America. They can't appreciate it. And they pretend that they're a part of it, and they are not. That's why all these and a lot of these folks, Black folks, and this is why we must stop using this stuff, using the color of one's skin to determine who they are. Just because we share a skin color doesn't mean we have the same legacy and heritage in America. Condoleezza Rice and Tim Scott, who are both Republicans, they, yes, share a heritage and experience as a Black American. And a lot of those Democrats don't. I think Sheila Jackson Lee is a first generation American from Jamaica. And, I blame Black leaders. They got Black Americans. They have betrayed Black Americans, and they got Black Americans in this predicament. We're in a predicament. A lot of Black folks, these women are so, in fact, a lot of Black women, I don't know the exact, but a lot of Black women call into Washington Journal supporting Kamala Harris. They're clueless. They don't know, they don't know anything. They're just being led by their nose. They're just supporting the Democratic Party. They don't know what's happening to them. It's embarrassing, I'll tell you. It's utterly embarrassing, and it's the fault of Black leaders, Black politicians. They have betrayed Black America. It's utterly embarrassing. We have been here 460 years, and look where we are. We're worth $200 in Los Angeles. Asian Indians are worth $245,000. The median value of their median value of their liquid assets. That's right. And then their total assets, the median value of their total assets, Asian Indians is $460,000. More than whites. More than whites, because the median value for whites in Los Angeles is $355,000. So Asian Indians are worth more than whites. So that means, Oh, and Japanese are worth $595,000. That means that when you say, aren't Asian Indians and Japanese people of color? So when you group Asian Indians with, in other words, people of color is everyone but white folks. So if Asian Indians median value is $245,000 and their median value of liquid assets is $245,000 and their median value of total assets is $460,000, more than whites, how can you talk about a wage gap between whites and people of color? You see, it just confuses the whole thing. Anyway, let me take a call now from, let's see. Hi, Mike and El Segundo. Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hi.
Hi, yeah, listen, I looked up Kamala Harris on the internet, and you gotta use DuckDuckGo.com to find the conservative information because Google censors it out. And she is radical. She is so radical extreme that when she was Attorney General, she refused to defend Proposition 8, which is that marriage is between one man and one woman, even though she had a duty to defend the initiative passed by the voters. And then she also wants socialized medicine, where she wants to force us taxpayers to pay for sex change operations, even if we don't believe in it.
Yeah, I heard that on Mark, Life, Liberty, and Levin. I think that Kamala Harris will take any position that will advance her career. In other words, she's a shapeshifter. Because she was also willing to prosecute parents if their kids were late to school. Truancy. So in other words, exactly. Right. She takes any position that advances her career. She is, and that's similar to Biden. She is not a principled person. She's just willing to do, in other words, whoever is paying her bills or whoever's in charge or the puppet master behind her, she does what is necessary. She takes care of her friends. She takes care of those who are paying her bills or whatever. She'll take any position. Yeah.
Right, and Kathleen, she's trying to pretend now or masquerade as some kind of civil rights leader.
Exactly.
Person, when at the same time, she very actively supports Jim Crow gun control laws, which are so bad against everyone. It endangers everyone, but especially minorities and poor people who live in high crime neighborhoods. It's very anti-woman to say that women will not be allowed to have self-defense firearms to protect themselves. At the same time, I think she now wants to defund the police.
She wants to defund the police, exactly. And you cannot be for civil rights if you're for illegal aliens. We know the data on that. Exactly. So, and you can't be for open borders, and you can't be for open borders if you're for civil rights.
That's right. And with open borders, that increases violent crime against Americans, including women and minorities, especially minorities. It also takes the jobs away, like you mentioned, as well. And it increases the tax burden on everyone. They're taxing us to pay billions and trillions of dollars, I don't know about trillions, but billions of dollars for illegal aliens that are not supposed to be here.
That's right. Thank you, Mike, for calling in. Okay, Ron from Canoga Park, welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Yeah, hello, Miss Wells. It was a pleasure to hear your sweet voice and wisdom.
Oh, thank you.
I was curious. You're welcome. This $200, how did that figure derive? That's basically you're saying half of the black women in L.A. County are only worth $200 or less?
Well, did
I understand you correctly?
It's not funny. It's sad. It's sad. Okay? It's sad. This report is called, let me bring it up. Let's see, I wrote it down. It's, The Color of Wealth in Los Angeles. That's right. The report. And you can Google that. The Color of Wealth in Los Angeles. Right. And then this is Table 8. Okay, and it says value of assets held by white and non-white households. So the median value of whites is of liquid assets is $110,000. The median value of liquid assets of U.S. blacks is $200. The median value of liquid assets for African blacks is $60,000. The median value of Mexicans' liquid assets is $0. The median value for other Latinos is liquid assets is $7. The median value of liquid assets for Chinese is $130,000. The median value liquid assets for Japanese is $140,000. The median value for Koreans is $300. Vietnamese $500, Filipinos $80,000, and Asian Indians $245,000.
Well, if you move from L.A. County, you got to even bring that figure way down. And heaven help us as Mrs. LeBron James moves. That figure's really going to drop. So,
well, the thing,
we have some wealthy Americans here.
Well, no, the reason why it's so low for U.S. blacks is because what? Most of us have no husband. We're single with kids.
Is that what it is? They have no husbands? That's the problem?
Well, of course, they're not there's not a man in the house making money.
You know who we should blame for that?
Who?
Larry Elder and Leo Terrell. Those guys need to hurry up and get married.
Who?
Larry Elder and Leo Terrell. Two highly paid lawyers.
No,
they get married. No, you don't think they should get married?
No, who we blame for that are the radical feminists. Didn't you listen to my show on the Invincible Family
from getting married?
Yes.
Really?
Free sex feminism. I've discussed. You must be new listening to the show.
No, I called you once before.
Yeah. But you didn't hear that free sex feminism says have sex with whoever you want to before marriage. Mm-hmm. Have a baby before marriage. That's what the radical feminist says. You can have sex with whoever you want, whenever you want, and you don't have to be committed. You don't have to be married before you have a baby. This has been going on for decades. So now we only have 25% two-parent families. Therefore, black family households is a woman with 4 kids. There's no man in the household. Are you married?
Wait a minute.
Are you married?
Yes.
Oh, you're rare, right? No, I mean, most black men. In fact, the black men married were in 2016. Only 33% of black men were married in 2016. It's less now.
Well, that's still a good. What percentage of white men are married?
Whites are the dominant group. See, we always do that. Why do you? It's more than blacks, and I'll tell you, white is the dominant group in America. They're a larger percentage. You see, they have 110,000 median value, right?
Well, that's basically value of home ownership comes into play.
No, that says liquid asset. Total assets is when you go to home ownership. That's $355,000 for whites and $460,000. That's total assets. Liquid assets is what's liquid. Okay.
Well, would you agree that generally people with assets just don't keep it in their checking account? Maybe they have some liquidity in a mutual fund.
Yeah.
Anyway, they have it in other things.
It's bottom line is what? It's no money.
The bottom line
is that black folks have no money, okay? And they're facing zero medium.
Well, I don't know these black folks. I know a lot of black folks. They all have money. So
you don't know. What are you?
Exception to the rule.
Well, how many black folks do you know? 100? Anyway, I'm going to let you go now. Ron, I'm letting you go. Bye. Anyway, Raul, welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
Oh. Well, hi, Kathleen. Thanks for taking my call.
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I just want to say that I was disgusted with Biden's behavior. And he goes out there, has his press conference. The first thing out of his mouth is he says, I want to talk about one thing very straightforward. He doesn't discuss anything else but the mask. He doesn't discuss about all the murders in Chicago, the thuggery and the looting by I call them black thug lives matter, and Antifa out there causing all this mayhem in our streets. Not a word about that. He doesn't take any questions. This is what I can't stand about Democrats, is they're so tyrannical, like the mayor, Garcetti, and Newsom. They make their pronouncements and then they just go away. You notice when he stepped away, he seems to have forgotten Kamala Harris's name. When he says, "Oh, I want to let my colleague, she's going to come up," and just walks. I mean, it was embarrassing. I thought. I'm just fed up. And then this thing with vending, I had mentioned it to you. I was in Studio City today.
Yeah.
They had the farmers market. They have it on Sundays in Studio City. They close a strip of the street off, right?
Uh-huh.
And I noticed they were not grilling out there, grilling meat. And I was talking to this one individual. He says, we're prohibited from grilling meat out here. But if you go to Nuri Martinez's district, who's the president of the city council, Gilbert Cedillo's district, they have these vendors out there on the street without licenses grilling meat.
Right, and you know, and
So
they're
you
also
ask yourself,
right, and they're also there at across from Dorsey on Obama Boulevard in La Brea.
right? I heard you mention that earlier.
Yeah.
And you smell a rat here. Why are these people not having their grills confiscated? If this virus is so bad, right?
Right.
And then you have legitimate businesses that are getting their backs broken.
Right.
I mean, they're losing clientele because they can only do the drive up. There's something. I mean, obviously, there's something really wrong here, and I think the public health department, which is isn't the Board of Supervisors running the LA Public Health Department?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the ones that bust these vendors.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'd probably ordered a stand down, like just hands off. And you know where these people are from? They're illegal Mexicans, Latinos from south of the border who don't have licenses. They pull these disgusting grills and set them up on the sidewalk, blocking, you know, the area to walk, you know, on the sidewalk. They're just grilling to their heart's content out there. I mean,
and we're going through a pandemic.
Right, you know, and
this is what I can't believe about cleanliness and all that. We're supposed to we have to be 6 feet apart and all this. This is crazy. That people are selling tacos on the street. It's crazy.
Right, and I called the health department, and I deal with Mrs. Thompson, and she says, okay, you know, they always would give me the address. Where is it? And I said, I've given you the address. And, you know, you think they'd open a case and say, okay, what's that? Oh, yeah, we have that case here in front of me. Okay, you know, and they're always in the dark about, okay, we're going to send somebody out there, you know, and nothing ever gets done. The same people in the same locations. So it's obviously they're not doing anything.
Right. They don't do anything. And you should call again and tell them about Obama Boulevard and La Brea across from Dorsey.
Oh, you know what I said the last time? I said they should just lay all you people off. Why are we paying them? You know, why are we paying these people a salary? You know, those government employees never get laid off.
Right.
You know, during these kind of crises. Well, thank you so much for your time, Kathleen. You have a good evening.
You too. Thank you, Raul. Let's take you. Curtis, we have 2 minutes. Can you say what you'd like to say in 2 minutes, Curtis? Welcome to the Naked Truth Report.
So. Now you're talking about Kamala Harris's parents being involved in civil rights. And I have a picture that shows Kamala Harris and actually Joe Biden's right alongside of them. And Dr. King is right behind them. And would you believe this? Joe Biden's got a crucifixion cross slung over his shoulder. It's 20 foot long, and, you know, he's kind of struggling down the street. It shows him, and, I mean, it's unbelievable. You know?
Wait, you have a picture of Joe Biden with a cross across with Dr. King?
Yeah, Kamala Harris's parents and Dr. King and Joe Biden is there, and he's got this crucifixion cross over his shoulder, and, you know, it looks like he's really struggling. I don't know. But
I'd like to see that. Mail me a copy.
Yeah, you know, I took a course in truth from the Communist Socialist Democratic Party.
Right.
So, you know, I'm telling the truth.
Right. Okay. It's amazing. I don't think do you think they actually worked in the civil rights? Come on.
Of course, I got the picture right here, and I took the course in truth.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Curtis, for calling into the Naked Truth Report. That's it, folks. Next week, let's see. I don't know. I don't want to make any promises, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to be watching the Democrat National Convention online. Yeah, because I want to report. I want to discuss it on the radio. Yeah, so we'll be back next week. Thanks for listening.